The psychological thriller genre contains many codes and conventions which are commonly used throughout most films of the genre. First of all, I'll highlight some areas in which I have used and developed these codes and conventions in my film. The majority of ways in which my film has conformed and developed these traditional codes and conventions is through scene 3, in which the man in suit is revealed to be of malicious intent. First off, I've set the entire scene in a dark, dimly lit room, which conformed quite strongly to the traditional codes and conventions. I chose to do this because it signifies to the audience immediately that this is a bad place. Also, I've conformed using emphasis on diegetic sound, such as the footsteps and the scream. They have been exaggerated for dramatic effect and to create tension and suspense for the audience about the events which are happening. Also in this section, I've used the monster under the bed theory in hiding the events by showing no visuals and relying on the audio to tell this part of the narrative. Finally, in terms of codes and conventions that I've used, is Enigma code. By choosing not to reveal the man in suit's face, it's created an enigma as to his identity and creates a lot of mystery. However, since the film is shot from his point of view, it subverts Enigma code by letting the audience know that this is the antagonist of the film. Also, the juxtaposition of the innocence of waking up and walking to work with the sudden change to the dark room and the torture scene. It'll create a lot of questions for the audience, an enigma as to why he's doing this and what he is doing and what he is trying to achieve. Now I will highlight some areas in which I have changed, altered or subverted the traditional codes and conventions for the genre. First of all, the man in suit doesn't conform to the traditional stereotypes for the genre. This is because he is presented as being a physically weak character, whereas traditionally a main male character will be physically strong. I chose to do this because I thought it would make the character more interesting to the audience and engage them more thoroughly in the film. Also, in terms of non-diegetic sound, I've slightly deviated from the traditional codes and conventions. I've avoided using the effect music which is commonly used in horror thriller films to signify a key moment or a pivotal decision. I chose to do this because the changing of the soundtrack from being non-diegetic to being diegetic was effective, and I didn't see any seamless ways to incorporate silences into the film. With regards to editing, with the exception of the introduction of the film, the shots are generally slower paced and longer than other films of the genre. I chose to do this because I wanted the introduction to be heavily narrative focused on building up the character of the man in suit and subverting the audience's expectations of him. Overall, my film uses and develops a lot more codes and conventions of real media products than it challenges. I've chosen to do this because the codes and conventions which I've used I feel are very effective and impactful, and there would be no need to subvert for subverting's sake. However, the ones that I have changed and challenged I feel will make the film more interesting and perhaps appeal to a different demographic.